The Vikings just finessed the NFL with their first round pick at number 24 overall that will fill a much needed gap that is sure to keep Kevin O'Connell happy, as well as quarterback J.J. McCarthy and Vikings fans alike. We're going to be breaking down all that in this episode of Vikings Digest, but first, if you're a part of the 78% that's not yet subscribed, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any of the updates as we head through draft weekend. And with that, let's hop straight into it with the pick is in. So with their first pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings have selected at 24 overall, Donovan Jackson of Ohio State, a perfect guard that will fill in a gap that is needed for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, Blake Brandel, he played solid last season, but this is now going to fortify this offensive line where now we have Will Fries, Ryan Kelly, Brian O'Neill, Christian Darrisaw, and now Donovan Jackson to make up this front five, and I could not feel happier about it. I know Kevin O'Connell is definitely going to be happy about it. Obviously, he was pitching in as to why he wanted to bring him here, and J.J. McCarthy as well for extra insurance as far as protection. Now, this isn't the draft pick that we were necessarily expecting. If you guys have been following us for the past few months, we have been projecting that the Vikings were going to take a cornerback or a safety in this draft, particularly Malachi Starks. I know myself, Kirk, and even my brother, who is a diehard Lions fan, he was even projecting that the Vikings were going to take Malachi Starks, and a lot of insiders on NFL Network were projecting the Vikings taking him or a cornerback, whether it was Jahdae Barron or Malachi Starks or somebody else in the secondary. Everyone was projecting that the Vikings were taking a secondary piece. However, as per tradition with the first round picks, Minnesota went the offensive route, just like Justin Jefferson, just like J.J. McCarthy, just like Jordan Addison. We went out and we got Donovan Jackson. And if you guys aren't familiar with Donovan Jackson, he is a 3-year starter at left guard inside the Buckeyes, 54-48 run pass split, multiple run scheme offense centered around zone and pin pull with gap precision principles mixed in. Jackson was a well-rounded, muscular, and lean build with good arm length and solid athletic ability and play strength. Jackson is best as a downhill run blocker, being thick and heavy on vertical double teams with connected elbows and hips to generate displacement. He's a functional puller who can seal or kick the man on the end of the line of scrimmage and has a good feel when to stay or release on zone combinations. He brings a physical presence and strains hard once he's to finish once he's latched. Jackson runs into trouble against tightly aligned or head-up defenders where he tends to step out of his stance, misjudge or his aiming points, and fall off of blocks quickly. He also will fail to redirect, reset, and recover from consistently compromising positions, usually being late. Now, some of these are things that you can kind of fix with time and within the right system and the right coach. Thankfully, we have a really good offensive-minded head coach, and I'm sure he will do the best that he can to try and rewrite those weaknesses in the run game. But what I really like is that he is a specialist as a run blocker. We know that this team is a run-heavy team. We saw that last year with Aaron Jones having a career season, over 1,000 yards, a bunch of touchdowns as well, and looking to build onto that. Then we go out, we drafted J.J. McCarthy as well, preceding that, who didn't unfortunately get to play, but we knew that he was wanting to be in a run-heavy offense, or he succeeds in a run-heavy offense, much like he did at Michigan. A lot of people were criticizing him about that, but I don't think that's a bad thing, really, if you're relying on your run game, where a lot of games are won with your run game. And Minnesota is a team that we tried to survive without a run game for a season when we had Alexander Mattison as our number one running back after losing Dalvin Cook. That season was an absolute disaster in the run game, where we had probably the worst running attack in the entire NFL. So we went out, we fortified it, got Aaron Jones. We brought in Jordan Mason now after Aaron Jones had a great season but was banged up throughout the course of the year. Didn't miss any games, but there was a consistent cue on his injury status report every single week until game day, when it was removed and he was cleared to good to go. It was either a game time decision or by Friday practice he was cleared, but nevertheless, you don't want to consistently have him pop up on the injury report, even if it is questionable or it's just a maintenance day or things like that. You don't want to have those things. So what do? You go out, you fortify that with a great RB2 option in Jordan Mason. So that's what they're doing here. And you went out and drafted Donovan Jackson, who will be great at stopping or blocking the run for us against those big run stoppers in the NFC and in the AFC as well. But we're going to be playing a lot of NFC teams this season as per usual. But with this, Minnesota, we knew that they needed to go out and fortify something, whether it was the secondary, whether it was the offensive line, or just getting an extra depth piece as well. this was a perfect move for them. I think this definitely fortifies the offensive line in a perfect way that J.J. McCarthy is going to really like. Kevin O'Connell as well. Takes a lot of pressure off him, and it gives J.J. more time to throw to his big receivers in TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, obviously Jalen Nailor even at times. But as far as pass protection as well, Jackson shows good lower half mobility and pad level to sink, brace, and root his feet against the bull rush while being adept at handling basic line games and stunts. He shows notable improvement in this area and spatial awareness to maintain levels when uncovered in 2024 compared to 2023. Jackson will be tardy to redirect against high-level sub-package rushers who can set him up with stutters and hesitations, but has flashes of effective catch hand to slow down moves across his face. Overall, Jackson hasn't quite lived up to the hype as the nation's best guard coming out of high school, largely due to robotic playing style with some erratic footwork, but has the necessary build, raw strength, and enough movement skills to compete for a job as a rookie and stick if he can continue to tighten up his game from the ground up. Now, these are pulled from a compilation of Bleacher Report and NFL scouting reports as well on Donovan Jackson. So overall, yeah, this isn't someone who's going to be perfectly fine-tuned and ready to go. And that's the thing, is he's a rookie. He's not trying to make a case for offensive rookie of the year necessarily, nor is he in a position really that excels at getting that type of recognition in those awards. But he does have a lot of things to work on, and I think Kevin O'Connell obviously is going to try and refine those. But it's not like he's a total disaster where Kirk and I were having a conversation about it. We were a little upset we didn't get Malachi Starks because we had him right at our fingertips. However, usually you see guys like this go in the second or third round. But Minnesota, when going in the first round and getting a guy, Garrett Bradbury, I know he's not with us anymore, but he was solid for those years. Christian Darrisaw, he was another one that we went out and got in the first round. Brian O'Neill was another big piece of that puzzle. So with that, Minnesota, yes, we know that big guys, they tend to go in the second or third round, and that's where you want to find those gems. However, Minnesota has a good track record of finding those gems in the first round when they need to take them. Was it the best one available on the board? No, but looking at the position that we were in on the draft board, we probably got the best offensive lineman that we could, specifically at guard, that we could have gotten where we were at in the draft. And I'm pretty happy with it. I think initially it was a very shocking one just because I thought it was written on the walls that we were taking Malachi Starks. But when they read the name of Donovan Jackson, initially I was like, whoa, did not expect that. But then when it took a second to look at that, you look at the depth chart again, you see Blake Brandel there as obviously the spot that he would be filling in for or competing for a job with if they want to make a little bit of a competition out of it and not just give Jackson the job right out of the gate. But with that, Minnesota did go out, and fortify that position that they needed to, because all the other spots in the offensive line relatively filled. Like I said, Christian Darrisaw, Brian O'Neill, Will Fries, Ryan Kelly, all absolute dogs. And Blake Brandel was the only one of those dogs that wasn't quite big enough to hang in the tall grass. So what do they do? Go out and draft a guard, bring him in, perfect spot for J.J. McCarthy to have extra protection, just so that you don't have even one little gap in that line. Minnesota wants to build this offensive line like Fort Knox, and they went out and they did that by getting a big boy to protect J.J. McCarthy. So overall, looking at a summarized strengths and weaknesses of our new draft pick: strengths, guards prototype with thick chest, broad hips, long arms, and big hands, able to punch and stay clinched from a distance, uses core, hip flexion, and hand resets to thwart bull rush, uses length and upper body to thump gap shooters, displays above average hit and stick for longer sustain, and strain and leg drive to push double team blocks vertically. Moves fluidly with good acceleration for stretch blocks and pulls. He looks for physical block finishes once he's locked in. Weaknesses: wide protection hands leave his frame wide open. Forward lean diminishes his ability to widen and defend his edges. Below average agility and lateral quickness in recovery mode. Quicker defenders can beat him with quick wins heads up, and becomes hurried getting off of secure block and up to the linebacker. So these things, the weaknesses, obviously the strengths, that's a lot of what you want in an offensive lineman, specifically in a guard. However, with the weaknesses, I don't think they're massive weaknesses where it's impossible to overcome those. I think with the techniques as well, a lot of it is just how he's lining up. So if you just refine those things and change how he's lining up, the strength is naturally going to come with that. So it's just going to be a matter of time before he just evolves and just becomes right in there as another solid draft pick that this Vikings team went out and drafted. I know Kwesi hasn't really gone the route of offensive linemen necessarily since he's been here, But this was a great bold move by Kwesi to kind of shake things up and not go for a skill position or what with everyone was expecting. I know even as far as offensive linemen, we were projecting Jonas Savai from Arizona as a potential second round or late first round pick if the offensive linemen were just flying off the board. However, we went the opposite route, went with a national champion. So back-to-back years, where in the first round, we took a national champion from the previous year in the college football. So what did you guys think about this pick overall? Were you guys hoping it was Malachi Starks, or were you guys hoping it was another guy in the secondary? Or were you very happy with this and that we were able to go and get somebody that can fortify this offensive line? Let us know what you guys have to say down in the comments below. I know Kwesi is giving a press conference as we are recording this video right now, so stay tuned for an update on that with everything that he has to say on this first round draft pick. But with that, I've been your host, Griffen. Take care.